it? It's another show? Are you joking? Like it's actually happening right now. It's like live. It's actually happening.
Dude, but we don't have enough time to do the show. You gotta do all that regular day life stuff.
Shut the fuck up! I want to do this.
So, you really shouldn't. You should be doing that work that you're supposed to be doing. That you need to actually do that work for tomorrow.
Shut up! I don't care. I don't care. I want to get the truth out.
Do you even know the truth? Do you actually know anything?
Shut up! None of this. You're just trying to distract me. Why don't you want me to do the show?
Because you should focus on your real life and stop trying to break out of the matrix.
Well, like screw that. I don't know, dude. I'm just kind of bored with the whole regular life thing. Even if it is extremely just sort of taxing and overwhelming and full of just endless tasks that don't ever seem to actually get finished or completed. And as soon as you get even remotely close, the next sort of wave of endless, difficult to complete tasks piles back onto that. So the pile just never seems to get any shorter. Which, yeah, that would be a great way to keep you in the matrix, keep you matricized. Just giving you a bunch of busy work, right? Just like in school. Here, do these 30 math problems. You may have figured out the concept on the first one, or maybe the second one, but you should definitely do 30 of these math problems because it's going to take you an hour. Not saying that I have done any recent math problems. That's definitely not a thing that I do. I mean, I'm good at some stuff. Math is definitely good at not be one of those things. And I don't know. I would chalk that up to my own self-doubts, but also just a fantastic American schooling system that teaches you real good numbers. The number power that I gained, especially like in elementary school, is well, I do end up going to other countries and interfacing with other cultures, and it turns out I'm fucking terrible at math compared to average other people. Why don't we get stuck on that? Why? Why am I talking about math right now? Let's talk about this beautiful sunset evening sort of, right? Whatever they call that, golden hour, something sort of close to golden hour. Really some sort of beautiful light that I was able to capture. This is from yesterday or the day before. Yeah, I was looking at the banner on my thing, and yeah, I definitely put weather up there, but I haven't been very weather focused in recent days or months because, well, it just takes a little bit more focus and time and energy to, especially like making time lapses and. But I definitely do go outside sometimes, and why not take a picture? It has been really sort of gross and raining, cold and wet, so there hasn't really been anything in the sky worth taking a picture of. But right, I'm more and more fascinated with shots like these, just to sort of try and trace the light sourcing, right? To see, right, that's sort of the title of the today's episode, Inconsistencies, and we'll get into that's a little more politics related, but I think, and I can't, right, again, because I'm not a math scientist, I can't exactly like draw the angles and point out to you why the light sourcing looks weird sometimes, but right, if I'm just looking at this one, it really does seem like the light is coming from lower and hitting the bottom of this cloud. Which then again, right, it's like, that seems insane. That doesn't seem possible because then that would mean the sun is like lower than this cloud, which is, this cloud is probably, I don't know, again with the math, probably 100, maybe 200 miles up, 400 miles up this cloud possibly 600 miles or feet. One of those. One of those. It doesn't really seem that high up this cloud. But so if the sun was actually coming from underneath, but I guess if you can picture the sun being also like 10 trillion miles away, and then going around the ball Earth and heading up, right as it's going over the edge, it has that angle. It's able to hit the bottom of the clouds here. That's probably what's happening. And I used to look into this a lot more, but I would find all sorts of weird stuff in the clouds if you really start to study them longer. Things that seem like holograms or spaceships, complex shapes in the sky that don't seem to change as they move across the field of view. And again, easy to discount, easy to ignore anything that I'm talking about here with the clouds, because yeah, I'm not a meteorologist. I can't really tell you if this is a cumulus or a nimbus or any of those things. I keep meaning to study up on that a little bit more, but it just hasn't happened yet. Maybe maybe there's a logical explanation for all of it, but I get this gut feeling that something is off, and again, maybe that gut feeling is just cycling on itself. That I'm just constantly searching for strange things, and I have a strange feeling deep inside of me that is infecting everything I look at and see. To where, right? It's just a piece of plastic or a dude on the street, and you get these negative feelings. That's definitely what we got to watch out for in this whatever you want to call it, truth community. That you don't. It's really difficult to not let your conspiratorial way of thinking infect things that are in fact just straight up normal. Yeah, and the sun is just shooting up, reflecting and making these beautiful images, and it's not hitting on these sides, and that's why we're getting those dark patches, right? It could all just be some total basic reality, exactly the way they tell us it is. But maybe something totally crazy is going on. I don't know. You tell me. What do you think in the comments? I'm gonna just say what's up in the chat here. I'm not looking at the chat, but I'm gonna say, what's up, dog? And I'm gonna put some good energy out there. You are awesome. Okay, now that I've interacted with the chat, why don't we get into some news? Why don't we check out the news, guys? I don't really have that many articles saved today. I didn't manage to talk much about what's going on here in Australia. This seems to have diminished from the news. I guess maybe we did just everything is burned. Are the fires over? It's just completely burned to the ground, the entire country. Obviously, a lot of fishy business going on with the whole Australia thing. That definitely seems like ground zero for this new next level test that they're going through, where yeah, the climate emergency is expanding, increasing in intensity, and they will do whatever it they can to amplify that message, be it setting their own fires or it seemed like a lot of denial about the use of directed energy weapons being used in Australia from intelligent truth community people. So maybe they were able to pull this whole thing without any sort of space laser interference. That's definitely possible. What's up, Michelle? It's good to see you. It's always good to see a familiar face. A little interaction there with familiar people. But I did think this was interesting, right? This is happening after that whole thing, and a main story from that, at least coming from the mainstream sources, seems to be that, right, obviously pissed about the climate and how we screwed up the planet, but almost more pissed at and I guess I shouldn't say pissed because in Australia that means drunk, more angry at the prime minister for totally just messing up the whole thing. And this is very similar to what's going on in America, where you find a guy in power who is strong, and then you just hang everything around his neck, and it's the scapegoat. Let him burn himself to the ground. And so, right, the reason that's being explained, why these brush fires and everything was so bad there was obviously climate change, but also mismanagement of the resources, not doing controlled burns and properly managing the forest and all that. And right, you're supposed to believe and also agree that this dude, like the main guy in charge, he's specifically responsible for all of that being mismanaged and poorly done. And as with the situation in America, it's probably a little more complicated to that, and probably something that has been going on for decades. Because, yeah, what happened in Australia just now seems like it would have taken a lot of planning, decades. But in order, right, and this is coming from the Guardian, more and more just high-profile stuff, that people went around Australia and it took, they pretended they were ad people and put in these posters ripping on the prime minister. And right, it's amazing what you can get away with in a high vis vest. And they were able to do this in plain sight, breaking the law, breaking the law. And just totally put these all over the place. I wonder how many there were actually. They just put them in a bunch of bus shelters. Right, and this is obviously a highly organized campaign. They have the QR code, a hashtag that they're trying to get going. This all seems like heavily manufactured and organized, and with a huge budget. Right, printing just one of these posters is probably a couple $100. I don't know in Australia, but probably also a couple $100. Big high quality print like this in color. Right, so they obviously have some backing. But the way the article is phrased, it makes it seem like, right, just a bunch of hardcore climate activists that just really believe in the truth, and that needs to get out there, right? And maybe one or two of the people that was the vibe, but everything about this poster screams highly coordinated graphic design school, big budget kind of project. Same way with a lot of these sort of events, the Women's March or the climate marches that have been happening all of this year. Right? I'm trying to say this is all manufactured. It is not just an organic protest against this man. So that means that both sides would have been manufactured, that the hatred towards him was manufactured, and then the response to that hatred was also manufactured. So it's like, I don't know, it's like watching a video game demo. This is like an old callback, but back in the day when video games had you press the start button before you actually started playing the game, right? If you walked away from the console and left it to do its own thing, it would eventually like start a demo, and maybe like play a cool cutscene from the video game, but also just sometimes just like have the computer like play itself and do a real bad job of it. And that's sort of what I see happening here. It's like the computers are playing against each other, and we're here watching, acting like we're actually watching real players play. But I don't think that's what's happening. I honestly don't. I honestly don't. Now Michelle is mentioning that yeah, I do not put my image out. A bunch of this show is about me protecting my identity here, because yeah, it just wouldn't go very well for my career and all sorts of other stuff if I was actually doing this under my own name. I get enough trouble in general just for bringing up the Illuminati and the Jesuits in casual conversation. But if everybody actually knew that I was doing a YouTube channel, that would probably not go well for me. But I do have this fuzzy camera that I set up. Right, I put some tape over the um, over the camera. I guess I could like put my hood on. I could come up here and be like, "Yo, hey." Well, I lost my mic. I still have to keep the mic. What's up? What's up? Hi. I think from this video you can already surmise a couple different things, but I think you still can't really see like who I actually am. I guess if you really wanted to, you could figure it out. But honestly, it's not worth your time or energy to figure that out. You would honestly um, get more mileage out of not doing that and doing something else with your time. So, anyways, yeah, the title of the episode is Inconsistence, just because I thought that was an interesting word that you don't usually hear. You usually hear inconsistencies, but I don't usually hear inconsistence. But that is sort of the nature of our reality, and with any sort of truth seeker, I would say your number one tool in your tool belt to try to get to the truth, right? We're looking for inconsistencies. If I don't know, yeah, one person says something or one major media organization says one thing and then doesn't say it another time or creates a double standard or what are some other good examples, right? I was trying to think of this having a conversation earlier. Wait, what's your like go-to for like just talking to regular people about conspiracy? I'm trying to think of a really good example that is easily proven. I wouldn't take too much time to explain because honestly, most people I talk to, they don't have attention spans longer than 3 sentences or so. So it's kind of hard to explain how the whole global cabal works and fits together. You can barely get into the Rosicrucians by the time everybody's spacing out in real life, which is I guess why a lot of this truth seeking is happening in video form through YouTube and all of that. So but I was still trying to think of one, right? Like, I don't know, the CIA running drugs or what's a good one? Operation Northwoods, I think, is a really easy, good one that you can pull up the document really quick and just it's there plain as day, at least, right? But again, that still requires about 10 minutes of attention span to be like, yeah, CIA, JFK, Cuba, blowing up planes with civilians in it. Something that we wrote down on paper as a possible thing that we would do to make people mad at Cuba. Killing innocent civilians sanctioned by the government. There's an inconsistency there, right? The government's not supposed to want to kill people. That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. Yeah, I guess 9/11 was an opening point for a lot of people. I think most people. I guess if you're watching this show, you'll probably have also seen something like Loose Change or what's that other 9/11 documentary? Zeitgeist. All those things that were going on, sort of virally. I guess I want to say like 10 years ago. It's also interesting because most of us that are in the community have all seen that video and all watched it at the same time, which sort of makes me wonder about the controlled demolition of all of that. No pun intended. If the whole 9/11 truth community was also part of the entire grand plan, if they pulled off this gigantic false flag, knowing that it would wake people up, if that was actually built into the whole thing, right? Yeah, and exactly. The T-1000, they kill civilians all the time. They have no compunction or problems with killing hundreds, possibly thousands of people. I understand that. I see also why the elite would feel okay doing that, right? If you think that there's just billions of trash, dirty people that you don't want to talk to anyways, like what's the big deal with killing a couple thousand of them? It's, yeah, pretty chill. It'd be like, I don't know, if you stepped on like a bunch of ants, you'd be like, damn, sorry ants. And then you keep going on with your day. Like you would not break down and start crying over these ants. You'd be like, well, damn, I gotta move along. I got other stuff to do. Anyways, I really wanted to highlight this because it is part of the title. That, yeah, we're getting into this fake, cool reality TV show. I mean, the U.S. election, and we're just getting started here. And we just had something happening. There was the primary happening in Iowa, and yeah, we're off to a good start because they would not release the data right away. They were citing inconsistencies. And this is a big part of, I think, also what really woke me up last time during the 2016 election when this was obviously all being gamed by the Democratic Party and the seat was being basically stolen away from Sanders. It was very obvious if you were reading all the numbers and looking at all these fixed polls and yeah, basically the whole thing was fixed and the vote totals were being manipulated. That I watched a bunch of good stuff basically explaining how you can shave off vote totals, make votes count a fraction of a vote or multiple times a vote, and that it's very easy to create a believable result and sway it towards your candidate. It's really honestly no problem, and that also voting machines are insanely easy to hack into. Just super child's play, voting machine hacking. I bet you, any one of us here today could do this, hack into a voting machine. But they are saying, let's read this real quick. The U.S. Democratic presidential nominating race got off to a chaotic start in Iowa on Monday, as the results of the state's caucuses were delayed for hours while party officials double-checked inconsistencies in the initial count. And yeah, Iowa, anyways, has like this weird system with caucuses where you go and wave a flag and sit at a table and like peer pressure your friends into coming to sit with you. Kind of seems like the election version of like high school where, right, you should go sit with the cool kids and like everybody's just sort of peer pressuring each other into voting the right way that they're supposed to. And much different than other voting where it's usually anonymous. But now I'm actually wondering, we're going to do some live research here. Iowa caucus, like what actually happened? See, this is utter madness. I didn't even realize this. They gave it to Buttigieg. Buttigieg? Buttigieg. How do you say his name? I'm curious. Apparently he won. He got 26% of the vote. And this is the guy, obviously, like, grew up at the CIA daycare. Like, this man is basically like a CIA avatar. And I see why they're pushing him during this whole primary thing. And the New York Times is just talking about him all the time. It's like they really, really want this guy to be the guy, but he's very obviously in the CIA right now. Like, just look at his rat face. Look at his CIA rat face. And it just, I don't know if you've ever listened to him talk. It's just all of those talking points back to back. So I see why they would want him to win. But I honestly didn't see him winning this first caucus, so that's interesting that that's how that went down. With Bernie in second, and this guy sort of dead last. He got 0 delegates. I think that's the whole reason for this whole inconsistency thing, is that they wanted this guy to get a couple more votes than 0. but they were not able to manipulate the vote totals that much. That's sort of what it seems like, that because they really have to get in there and manipulate these vote totals to go their way. But if they're too far off, and especially in a state like Iowa where a lot of it is paper sort of backups and double copies of things, then yeah, right, inconsistence. Just want to make sure I spelled that right because I managed to spell canceled wrong. Because I don't know, I'm a little better at spelling than I am at math, but also not so good at spelling. Oh wait, I'm giving away the secrets from later. Right, so I guess the stuff is released now, and they're gonna move forward with this. I don't see this guy actually getting forward. But again, this is all with the caveat that obviously this is all just a huge other distraction. This is also just sort of video game computers playing against each other where they're going to play a little bit. There might be some rules that they loosen, right? They're able to fight, but they obviously in the end like know who's going to win and what's going to go down, and they're going to use this whole ramp into September to just get everybody all riled up and pissed, and I don't know, maybe start a civil war again. I keep hearing that from people that they're going full civil war this year, that this whole race is going to get messed up, and yeah, there's going to be some fighting. There's going to be some fighting. I don't know. I'll believe it when I see it. I feel like most Americans are honestly too lazy to get up off the couch and go actually fight people. Like unless you're like starving or the lights are out or something really crazy happens, I don't see anybody getting out of their cushy lives to go protest and like actually fight, like fist fight people. So I just want to take a moment. Wait, can I get some sad piano in here? Can I actually hear my sad piano? Is that a possibility? To monitor the notes that I'm playing. Oh, come on, bro. No, you're not gonna give it to me. Is it working? Dude, technology is so cool, especially when it doesn't work. Okay, well, no sad piano. I guess we'll have sad piano next time. Fireflies are facing extinction due to habitat loss, pesticides, and an artificial light. And they always leave the part out, right? That's implied. ... This is specifically your fault. Blank, enter name here. ... You should feel real bad about this. ... Personally. Dear sincerely CNN, right? Because all of this is supposed to make you feel bad and give you that sinking feeling like, yeah, maybe you should change your behavior, that you're contributing to this climate crisis. Climate clusis. Pete Buttigieg. Right? Yeah, not the lightning bugs. Like everybody loves lightning bugs. Those you remember from your childhood back east when you went and visited your relatives and it was hot and you could hear the cicadas or the cicadas or the, you know, however you want to call it, and then maybe you caught a firefly in a bottle. And those days are going to be over, right? That's something that your kids are not going to get to experience. They're never going to be able to capture a firefly in a jar and suffocate it for pleasure. And right. So we should obviously feel bad about that. And this isn't just, you know, in your backyard. It's around the world. Fireflies light up the night. They do this all over the place, not just at your uncle's house back east. But sad to say, this magical display is under threat with the loss of their natural habitats, pesticide use, and artificial light, putting some of the 2,000 or so species at risk of extinction. So, yeah, maybe that really does bother them having like lights on. So, I don't know, look around you right now. If you're in a building that's using artificial light, you should consider maybe turning those lights off and just sort of sitting in the dark, because just by leaving those lights on, you are killing fireflies. And you should feel bad about that, bro. Like, seriously guilty for killing those fireflies. Right? And my point, I guess I gotta just spell it out every time. ... The truth is, like, this is not specifically your fault. I don't know if you need to feel so guilty about the fireflies dying. Maybe the climate situation is like way more complicated than they want to say, because it would impact their narrative or whatever, you know, the whole forcing us to go to this whole smart city hive mind life that they're setting up for us. And maybe the fireflies are gonna be just fine whether you leave your lights on or not. Maybe you should just not even, like, worry about the fucking fireflies and just try to enjoy and have a happy life. And search for everything in your life. Nailed it. Nailed it. Search for everything in your life that is fake truth. Oh man, did I see technical difficulties? That's what I was looking for. The bumper. The logo thing or whatever. Wait, hold on, let me roll that back. DJ, roll that back. Hold up. Stay with me. Because I wanted to just briefly touch in our fake ending portion here. This Avenue 5, because I did manage to show the card real quick. So I was just watching this last night. This is a new show on HBO about space and just the cool things that happen in space. It's interesting because it's got Hugh Laurie, the guy from House. He's like playing a fake captain, and they're on this weird sort of cruise around the solar system, like it's on some cruise ship or something. But there's just so many images colliding, and you can see how this affects people's minds and opinions about things that are actually happening in reality, right? So obviously you have this whole space layer about, and a bunch of, you know, jokes about gravity and flying against the wall. A bunch of people get hurt and stuff, but you laugh about it. It's a funny people getting hurt. Yeah, just general sort of space images, but in a more comedy sense. And yeah, you get the feeling like this is it's much more like a cruise ship vibe than any sort of actual space thing. Right, they're all doing hot yoga and stuff. But what I thought was interesting, it's the whole thing is run by this sort of Elon Musk like character, but it's mashed up with a lot of the Trumpian symbolism, right? The whole spaceship is like in this marbled gold, gaudy. A lot of it's really just sort of ugly, gaudy stuff. The kind of stuff that you do see at Trump Tower and other people, right? He has all these like statues of him as himself, but the character itself is a little more portrayed as an Elon Musk kind of type, right? So we're being encouraged to conflate and combine the mythos of both of those characters into the same, right? And then by combining those in fiction, you can pull them apart back in real life and still have those things stick to each other. Right? But a lot of the same imagery you see in everything, internationalism. I did think it was interesting to catch an American flag in one of the shots. And yeah, they're just going around the solar system. Right? All right. Well, I think I think that's all I got for you. I think that's. I wish I could play some keyboards. Just looking at a black screen with no keyboard, no sounds. Can, can I at least get something? Some sort of imagery? Well, hold on. I'm gonna press some buttons real quick. And I also just wanna say what's up because I appreciate you guys showing up, coming out, and being a part of the show, right? Because that's sort of my thing. If you are watching this show, and you are also typing in the live chat, you have taken this step from like passive observer and become like an active participant and person that's part of this show, right? Like Kelsey's been active in the chat, and I really appreciate that, Kelsey. Like that is super cool of you, and I appreciate you like saying nice stuff, and contributing to the conversation because, right, you and all sorts of other people have written very intelligent things in the chat and sort of pushed me to think of things in a different way, or maybe I don't know, change the topic, or maybe gone completely off topic and on a huge tangent, right? Like today, I sort of meant to spend a little more time on that TV show. I should probably get back to that next episode, but nothing like a little technical difficulty to get you in the mood. But yeah, I should probably go do that stuff that I was talking about at the beginning. Like that, there's a bunch of grown-up stuff I gotta do. It's fucking stupid. I'd rather just research the truth all day, but not exactly like easy or like lucrative business to be in. Truth exposing, especially if you get too big, like it's not encouraged. Not encouraged. Not encouraged. Don't search for the truth. And especially don't like try to make money off of searching for the truth, because that's what shills do. Don't be shill.
Yeah, that's right. Don't be a shit. Shills are bad. That's not something you should do with your free time. But I promise you that I'm just a regular guy, just trying to figure stuff out on my very lonesome. And I'm glad you're with me on this journey. I appreciate everything you've done for me. Random people on the internet.
All right. Good night. Good night. I really hope that you keep it real, in your life. Just, yeah, keep it real. We'll see.